Thank you, Matt. All right, so I have a hard time. Good evening, everyone. This is the meeting of the mayor and town council of Brentwood. Today is Tuesday, February 15, and we're starting this meeting at 7:03 p.m. And as you all know, this meeting is being held virtually, and residents can still view this meeting by joining the Zoom link at the end of the agenda, or you can still watch this on channel 71, Verizon channel 36, or visit online at www.livestream.com/BrentwoodMD. With that, I will have our town clerk to call the roll.
Good evening, everyone. Councilmember Monroe.
Present.
Vice Mayor Legan.
Present.
Councilmember Betry-Goff.
Present.
Mayor Shimei Lopez.
Present.
Town Administrator Gaston.
Present.
Chief Baltall.
Present.
Treasurer Dorsey.
Present.
Town Attorney Deloach.
Present.
And I see we have code enforcement, Ms. Aguilar.
Present.
And my name is Giselle Richards, town clerk, present.
Thank you, Giselle. I'm just going to ask for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Sorry for that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for Mayor and Town Council of Brentwood Council meeting Tuesday, February 15th.
Yes. And just, I would like to acknowledge Councilmember Taylor has joined us now. All right, anything that needs to be added or removed from this agenda before we continue?
Mayor,
Yes, Shelly?
may I speak?
Yes, Ms. Dorsey.
I didn't know, I guess we should probably add to the agenda. We received the letter from the volunteer fire department.
It's on.
Oh, is it on there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't recall seeing it.
Mayor, may I?
Chief?
In my report, I have the 2022 training conference from MML Police Executive, but it needs to be voted upon tonight. So if that can be added to new business, I appreciate it.
Perfect. Chief, is that something, it is in the, yes, no problem. We voted for that because it's on the training, but that's fine. Okay, anything else before anything else that you would like to order? To add in this agenda? Come on. Just sit down there. No? All in favor to approve the agenda with the additions? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Right, so move. We have the upcoming events, and we have Saturday, February 19, 2022 at 1 p.m. We have Black History Celebration via Zoom, and our host is gonna be Councilmember Taylor. This is a reminder that Monday, February 21st, 2022 is President's Day and Town Hall will be closed. Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022 at 7 p.m. Public Works Committee, and this is hosted by Vice Mayor Leggett. Tuesday, March 1st at 7 p.m. the Town of Brentwood Council Workshop schedule. March 15, Capital Area Food Bank distribution. Tuesday, March 15, we also have our Town of Brentwood Council meeting. And on March 22nd is my birthday, and we're going to have Brentwood Business Network meeting from 5:30 to 7 p.m. You didn't have to laugh at that. So we are going to party. Now.
I hope everybody wrote that down.
Thank you for that. Seems busy. I think no, we don't have to do this. I can wait for the next meeting to add dates for the budget workshop. So, but I bring that later. Okay, with that, I'm just going to move to the general public comments. Ms. Richards, do you have any, or is anyone in the chat that would like to participate during the public comments?
I have not seen any public comments via the email. I'm not sure if any voicemails came in. I don't think so. And I don't see any residents on the call at the moment.
Okay. All right, no problem. Thank you for that. So I'll move to the next item, which is approve the minutes. And we have council meeting for January 18, 2022, and work session Tuesday, February 1st, 2022 needs to be approved. So I would like to have a motion.
I move to approve the council meeting minutes for, I'm sorry, hang on one second, guys. January 18, 2022 and February 1st.
Any changes, anything that you see edits? Or we are happy to approve these minutes? I guess no comments, so all in favor say aye.
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 So move. Thank you. So with this, I'll move to the next item in the agenda, which is a presentation. I have Mr. David Brush from Route 1 Communities Care that I honestly would like to, first of all, apologize because I know he's been reaching out, trying to get into the agenda, but finally he's here. So the floor is yours, Mr. David Brush.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and also council members for your time this evening. I will try not to take too much of your time, but I really appreciate the opportunity to speak for a couple minutes. I live in University Park, and I'm a member of the ROCC, which is a volunteer group that's been fundraising people from University Park, College Park, and Hyattsville primarily. And we've been working on this since the beginning of the pandemic, almost 2 years ago. I'm also representing Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization, CDC, a community nonprofit that promotes social, environmental, and economic development tonight. We formed a partnership at the beginning of the pandemic, and we meet weekly. We've raised more than $300,000 and provided more than 27,000 meals to people in need here in the county. We focus on PG County in the from the DC line out to the Beltway and along the Route 1 corridor and the Kenilworth Avenue corridor. We work to keep small restaurants from going under and also feed our less fortunate neighbors. We have a GoFundMe page, and we've organized 3 art sales. We've made direct appeals to the municipalities in this area for financial aid, and including, I think there are 12 towns and cities in this general area that we've been reaching out to, including your town. And we're asking for a portion of your American Rescue Fund funding to help us with our work. Recently, we received grants from College Park, University Park, Riverdale, and North Brentwood, and hope you'll be able to help us as well. We'll be reaching out to the Hyattsville Council in the next week or two. We typically average about 500 meals a week, and we go to local restaurants who we pay them $10 per meal, and then they're delivered to the nutritious meals to a number of distribution sites, including St. Jerome's, United Methodist Church, El Huda School, Parkview Gardens, and St. Mark's. And also we're delivering 125 this week to Attic Towers in College Park. The restaurants we've worked with in the last 7 days are Shortcake Bakery, Legends, Crazy Kebab, Pizza Roma, Marathon Deli, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Carbani Lena. Sorry about that. We hope to continue our assistance until the pandemic subsides. We view this as a community crisis that affects all of us. We want our wonderful and diverse restaurants to survive and keep our less fortunate neighbors from going hungry. Thank you, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Broad. Does anyone have a question for him in regards to his request?
Yeah, Mayor, may I? So 2 questions, and thank you so much for taking the time to present to us. It sounds like a great program. As a guy who worked in the restaurant industry for a long time, I can appreciate sort of where you're coming from. I heard a list of a lot of good businesses, and maybe I missed it, but what sort of outreach has directly impacted the Brentwood community? Have there been any restaurants in that list that I missed that you've been partnering with? And what portions of Brentwood or what residents of Brentwood have been receiving these nutritious meals?
Well, I don't know if we actually have a restaurant in Brentwood. We certainly are always open to adding restaurants to our list. In terms of whether we've directly served folks in Brentwood, we know that some of the different places where we do take meals to, people come in from all over. So for instance, let's say St. Jerome's, we know that there are people coming in from Hyattsville, but also other places. The same with St. Mark's, which has a wide number of people coming in from all over. So I can't say that we have specifically directed some of our work to Brentwood residents, but I think we're thinking about it as kind of a larger community thing. I know my town at University Park, we have no restaurants, and we're fairly affluent, and I think we have very few people who have need for meals, but we think that it's really important to be helping the larger community, and we know that if our restaurants go under, it affects all of us. We use restaurants all over the county, and I think it's just really important for us all to think of us as a larger community and to be serving each other.
One follow-up question, and then I'll yield the floor. How do you choose your distribution centers? I'm familiar with some of these places, but how did you choose them?
I think what we found that when some people found out what we were doing, they contacted us. There are a couple of the distribution sites that are in Hyattsville and near University Park, also in College Park, and some of our residents, some of the people that we've been working with, were able to reach out to some of those people. And so I think it's been sort of by just word of mouth. We are always open again to providing meals to other places within this area, and also helping local restaurants. So if you or anybody else here feels that there are ways that we can be helping you, we certainly would be open to that. Recently, we knew that there was some additional need for some of the Afghan families that are coming in, and we have started helping there. We also found a restaurant that does the meals that they will be able to eat, and we've got a restaurant in Hyattsville that provides the Kamal meals. So that's we're open to helping. So.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to participate in the discussion? Councilman Morrow.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, David, for coming today. Help me out too, I guess, if you could wave a magic wand, so to say, what would you want ideally out of the maybe Route 1 corridor towns? Is there a peak number of grant funds that you'd be looking to raise ideally?
Well, when we saw the money that was coming in from the feds, and I think it was substantial. I know even University Park, which is a pretty small place, was getting over $2 million, and I know College Park got $25 million. So what we did is we thought wouldn't be a huge amount of money, but we said if each of these communities could give us 0.5% of their ARPA money, we would be able to actually raise $400,000 and keep us going at the level we're going at right now. We are actually getting fairly close to spending the money that we've raised, and we do need more help. But if you could provide 0.5%, that would be fantastic. I know when we went to North Brentwood, they actually gave us 1.5% of their funding. But so I think that's what we're asking everybody. If we get these 12 communities to get 0.5%, we would be able to keep going for at least another year or more.
And Mayor, I just have one more follow-up for that.
Right.
So with a lot of the ARPA funds, they're wanting the communities to look at spending down by 2026. With this effort, do you envision it as being a temporary effort that once the industry got to a certain point in recovery, that you could see this going away, or would you want to see it absorbed, for example, into another permanent nonprofit? And it's more so to think long-term about what we're contributing, and should we think about it being on an annual basis towards this effort over multiple years versus this one time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess two things. Number one, we are, myself in particular, but we're basically a volunteer group, but we are working with Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization CDC, a nonprofit, and all the money we raise goes into their kitty, their coffer, whatever, and then it's distributed that way. So we have kind of control over where the money is coming in and where it's going. One of our members, who's has done a lot of economic research, said that he's looked at kind of what's happening to the restaurants, and the restaurants are really struggling. And I think we're hoping that maybe if the COVID thing gets less bad, to me starts going away, maybe some of the restaurants which were really kind of just hanging on may not need the help. But our understanding is even after COVID starts going away, there'll still be people who will not want to go into the restaurants, and the restaurants are still going to be having difficulty, especially the ones who weren't used to having carryout. I think carryout is some of them have been able to survive that way, but we think that we're still going to need some help for a considerable amount of time. And I think your idea of trying to find a way of doing something long-term is a good idea. We started this 2 years ago or so, and we thought we'd be out of it by now. We all thought maybe we could move on to something else, but we're staying in there, and hopefully until we have kind of fully recovered and everybody's kind of back to a more normal life. I don't know if that's answered your question or not, but anyway.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Any other question? Hearing none. David, thank you so much for coming out and speak to the council tonight. I know we are working on the getting all the priorities and the budget when it comes to the ARPA fund. So if decision is made in the next couple weeks, I will say, because nothing takes, it's not right away because we're still working numbers and budget. But as soon as we figured it out something, we will let you know. And also invite you to participate again and always bring us some updates in the program. So,
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah.
have a great day. All right, that was Mr. Brush. All right, so I get the agenda back because I think the one I have is not the correct one. Maybe. Thank you, Mr. Gaston. And with that, I'm going to move to the report. And first is our police chief, Bob Otto.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and our distinguished citizens. In the month of January, we had a total of calls of 411. 299 were for calls for service. We also did 239 premises checks. The police department issued 15 parking tickets, and our red light camera was issued 88 violations. When payments received, it was a total of $665. Parking citations under 30 days was 65. Impound fees of 600, totaling $665. My chief's report, as you know, as you see, and I've been very busy with the federal COPS grant and all the other grants. We had to do our financial report. Thanks, Shelley, for helping guiding me through that, as well as progress reports. So it's pretty cumbersome to do. Also, we're in the process of doing our Lexipol indoctrination. I've been meeting with their representatives about going over all of our general orders, which are currently being typed. And I've learned a lot so far from this, because at every update that comes from the state of Maryland or from the federal government, they automatically get alerted and they alert us. So that's a big time blessing that we haven't had the opportunity to have before. I attended the Maryland Municipal League Hometown Emergency Preparedness Ad Hoc Committee, as well as I serve on the subcommittee for mental health. We've been meeting monthly or every other month regarding the topics of mental health and what resources available, not just in Prince George's County, but all over the state. Also been attending the Maryland Chiefs Associations, as well as the Maryland Municipal League Police Executive Association, which I served on the executive board, as well as the Prince George's County Police Association monthly meeting. And I was sworn in as the treasurer of the association. I met with Civic Plus. They had a police app. As you can remember, we had another individual that came in and talked about police applications. We're still looking at them and looking at the benefit and the cost involved. And lastly, I've been meeting with Mike Phelan on Ultimate, where we have our speed camera contract from. Apparently there's been some publications or things placed on social media about us placing 8 cameras in the town, and that is not true. We have identified Rhode Island Avenue as 400 and some violation in a 2-day period. We just want to get people, there's always people saying that we need to do something about crosswalks and things. Well, that's how we're going to slow people down. There's a nurse or a kids school nursery care center up there. And actually the state of Maryland is going over that legislation again that I testified a few years ago, but Prince George's County got signed in law by the governor on October 1st, allowing speed monitoring devices, better known as speed cameras, in residential areas and school zones. So 2 cameras will go up to Rhode Island Avenue, just like Mount Rainier has, and 2 will be going on streets that we have already posted. We're not putting 8 cameras in the town. We're just putting 2 cameras and then we'll move them to the streets that we have already identified. Next is we had somebody request for accessible parking. His name is Mr. Mumal. He resides at 4404 38th Street. He's applied to have a handicap area placed in front of his residence. He has a driveway, and you all know some of my concerns about a driveway, but I kind of yield to granting it because his driveway is very tight. And second thing is he's on probably one of the busiest streets in the town of Brentwood, 38th Street. He is handicapped and has caused damage trying to get his vehicle in the driveway because it's that tight. But I'll leave that all to you for your decision. Also, I'm having meetings with Okada. They're putting security cameras that we're trying out. We didn't buy them, but so if you see 2 cameras in the park and 1 camera in Town Hall, we're what they call trial and error, testing them. And lastly, the Maryland Municipal League has their upcoming training conference. It's scheduled for the 18th through the 21st. I have to be there on the 17th because I'm part of the executive committee. The cost of the conference is $165, and then the hotel arrangements is cheaper than usual. It's $59 a night. We have money in our conference convention budget, which is 5-4140 if you approve me attending. And that's not including per diem. So if anybody has any questions, that'll be my report.
Chief, not for my part, but thank you for the clarification on the miscommunication people might have about the cameras. But that was a good statement to be able to clarify that, Chief.
Welcome, Mayor. Just trying to ensure that everybody knows that we're going to institute the program soon, and we're having people addressing citizens' concerns. As you well know, I'm sure, talking to them, and they also informed you about the issues too. So we're not going to have 8 cameras. We're just going to have 4.
Well, you and me are on 34th Street almost daily, as well as Councilmember Monroe, and we know how traffic can be bad and people speeding around town when kids are walking towards the school or to their house. So it is a safety issue that we are addressing, and clarify as well that it's not 8 cameras that we are talking about. It's just 8 different locations. We're waiting for approval to see where that camera might be. So, but that was just a matter of put it out there so people are aware as the law requires. So that's what we've been doing. Anyone has a question for the chief before he asked me to leave after his report, and I would like to see if we can approve his training and participation to the Maryland Police Chief Association. So I would like to do that so he can go home happy.
Mayor, if I may, Chief, could you give that amount one more time?
For the room, it's $59 a night, and it would be it would be 5 nights, because I have to be there a day earlier and leave a day later on that afternoon after the conference. And the conference itself is $165, but we have to have that paid by March 1st.
So we're looking at about 300 and maybe a little change for the room and 165 for the conference. So we're looking at 465.
That's exactly the number I have written on my paper.
Okay. And tell me, this is which conference again?
The Maryland Municipal League Police Executive Association.
Yeah.
That's where all the municipalities go to.
I move to approve $465 for Chief Althoff to attend the Maryland Municipal League Police Executive Association Conference.
There's no questions. Everybody in favor? Say aye.
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 So move, Chief. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Drive safely.
Have a good night. Stay safe.
You too. Good night. Okay, so our next person in the list is our treasurer.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and guests. Not sure if we still have guests on the line. I'm not sure. Gaston, are you bringing up my reports?
As soon as you tell me which one you want to see. We have several.
Oh, well, it's always the same order every month. It's the treasurer's report with the bank accounts and balances is the first one.
All right, hold on. This one?
Yes, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Balances as of the end of January 2022. Ending balance in the SunTrust checking is $1,488,068. I can barely see that. 68. $1,468,432.27. The ending balance in the ARPA account is $1,101,355.92. The ending balance in the SunTrust Capital Fund is $235,272.33. And ending balance in the PNC is $297,353.17. The ending balance in the SunTrust Money Market is $189,563.74. The ending balance in the BB&T credit card account is $92,730.74. And the ending balance in the BB&T checking account is $267,550.92. Total cash on hand at the end of January is $3,652,259.09. Thank you. Next is the budget versus actual summary report. Thank you. So as of end of January, total income received to date is $2,774,971.18. Total expenses to date was $1,085,431.59. We have a total net income or surplus of $1,689,539.59. Next is the bill payment list. Total of bills submitted, $63,698.38. And that was through February 10th.
Am I on the wrong report?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
If you can just bring up the ARPA.
Okay. Bear with me.
And so, and just a summary of activity in the ARPA account. So you see our beginning balance is the $1,131,090.75. We earmarked $150,000 for the Resident Relief Fund, $50,000 for the Business Relief Fund. And we had some miscellaneous expenses that totaled $24,511.76. And the total of all disbursements is $224,511.76. That leaves us an ending balance of $906,578.99 that's available for spending. And I just want to note in the right column, it's just a summary of the Resident Relief Fund and the Business Fund in terms of what we have spent. So the Resident Relief Fund to date, we've spent $26,078.97. We spent $10,000 in the Business Relief Fund. And so those two funds collectively, we still have $163,921.03. And that completes the reading of my reports. My treasurer report and the budget versus actual are subject to audit.
Any questions for our treasurer?
Yes, please. Ms. Dorsey, what was the $17,000 for Brentwood Police Department equipment under ARPA funds?
That was the Lexapol.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. All right, who is next?
James Gasson, Town Administrator.
James.
Yes, ma'am. So real quickly, I'm gonna try to run through this. I realize my reports are always lengthy, but I'll do the best I can. The Old Town Firehouse, as you very well know, we had to apply for new permits. They have been made, and we're just waiting for approval. Allison Street levee improvement, the closeout date was December 31st of 2021. But just like with the new town center, the equipment that is needed to complete the project won't be available till March, and they don't anticipate that project closing out until July 1st of 2022. I say June, but it was changed to July 1st of 2022. The guardrail at 38th and Volta, I realize this has been an ongoing situation. However, the weather has been the issue, and as soon as the weather breaks, this will be fixed. Let's see. The tree canopy situation, we don't really have a new update, but we do have 149 trees that have been assessed, and it's yellow, red and yellow, and we've asked for an addition to, because some of the trees need to be removed, we asked Prestige to actually provide how much would it cost to actually replace those trees. So the grand total is going to be closer to $100,000 to deal with all the 149 trees in and around the town. Sidewalk repairs, the fence at 40th and Volta, the homeowner did move his fence. So as soon as, once again, the weather breaks, Grace is going to come back through, Grace Management is going to come back through and finish the project at 40th Street and Volta. So just bear with, yes. Somebody any questions?
No.
Okay, great. Bartlett Park, I'm not sure if people were aware of it, but one of the lights were out on the 38th Street side. So this is the picture of the brand new LED light. So the entire Bartlett Park has brand new LED lights from Volta all the way to 38th and all around the building to help with the chief's new cameras that will be installed hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks. The flag at Veterans Park was damaged and it needed to be fixed. So that has been repaired, Mr. Welch. The part was bought and then Mr. Welch from Public Works installed it. So now the flag, as you can see, is flying high. The grant for the 40th, for the paper alley from 40th, from Rhode Island Avenue to North Brentwood, that grant is being developed by Miss Goodall from North Brentwood, and she is almost ready to submit that. And once that's submitted, then the mayor will see if we'll get a grant to create a greenway walkway with limited maintenance that will go from Rhode Island Avenue all the way to North Brentwood past the tennis courts. I told you about the EV stations. As soon as Pepco finishes their evaluation, it's already been approved. They just need to start the work. Town staff, the town is seeking a new town clerk, a code enforcement officer, and a new staff member for public works. We are in the process of interviewing as we speak, and hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will solidify those positions. As the mayor said, her birthday is coming up, but also the Brentwood Business Network is scheduled, and I say scheduled because that may change due to COVID and things of that nature. But if it does happen, I hopefully hope that everyone attends and we can toast the mayor for her birthday. The Capital Area Food Bank, the last scheduled delivery is March 15th, 2020. This is part of a Capital Area Food Bank grant, and if the grant is renewed, then we will continue to receive the funds. I will keep the town residents along with the town council updated on whether or not the grant is going to be extended. Communications and marketing, the newsletter for March is being scheduled. It'll be distributed last week of February. As you know, we're also doing ceremonial documents now. Facebook, we're growing and getting stronger on Facebook. We plus 18. Instagram, growing as well. Twitter is also growing. And we now have a new LinkedIn account for the town of Brentwood. And this is primarily used to help recruit individuals for our job openings. So a LinkedIn account was created. And if you're interested to follow us, please do. It's at Town of Brentwood. And if you need the link, just let me know. Our notary, we have a town staff, of course, of 4, and we assisted on 2 notaries between January 19th and today. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Mr. Gasson, I have a question. Councilmember Monroe.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, let me check I'm up here. There we go. I know the supply chain issues are backing things up, but can you clarify again, when will we, in theory, be moving, I guess, more swiftly with the construction at the...
So, good question, and let me try to be clear. The situation with the town center is simply this. Our builder does not want to start until we have all of our permits. And as I stated previously, because our permit with Prince George's County expired, we had to literally restart the permitting process with the utilities. And the window, I can't quite give you that. Hopefully it'll be in the next month or so. But we have filed new applications. We've reached out to our government reps at all the utilities to try to speed up that process. And in some situations, it has helped. So as of today, I cannot give you a timeline because, like I said, Milestone doesn't want to get started because they don't want to stop. They don't want to do something and not be able to put in the water or the sewer. So they want to make sure all the permits are done. Then they'll get started and then they can completely do the building. Renovate the building and move forward. Do I have a window of opportunity? I don't. All I can tell you is that the permits have been submitted. They're being reviewed. And that's about the best I can tell you, unfortunately.
I appreciate that.
I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but trust me, it's not what I wanted to hear either. But the DMPED situation really put us back.
And I guess short of hypothetically, because I know Mr. Deloach is on here, me walking up and flipping over a desk at TPI, is there anything else that we can do to move this along quickly? letting our representatives know that have put skin in the game to help
It's
us
not
get this
DPI.
funding.
It's
Right, it's not DPI. I apologize. So first,
It's Washington Gas and Pepco. So
And-
what we did was our town administrator, he sent an email to Senator Augustine to see if he can help us to push, or who the person we need to get in contact with. That's what we've been doing, trying to get the person in contact. It's not DPI. DPI is not the issue now, because that was kind of like solved. But now
Okay.
it's these two companies that
Learn
are
about crypto
holding.
and get paid as you learn with Coinbase Earn.
sorry. Phone ringing. My apologies.
So please, if you would like to give a phone call to our senator, we need to push this through.
Yeah, and I don't even know what we're owed as far as. I mean, this is significantly impacted our our project. So I don't even know, Mr. Deloach, in a situation like this, what more we can do. It's a little maddening, because I know the mayor and town administrator have been doing everything they can. But I mean, I guess what else in theory can we do in a situation like this, because this is really impacting our project.
Yeah, I think what the mayor pointed out was trying to get the electeds involved to try to push this through. Development, everything dealing with the county is slowed down a lot through COVID, and it wasn't that quick beforehand. Okay. So that's a double whammy there, but letting the appropriate people know what the issue is, they're probably getting it from other areas too. So, the more that you advise them of your problems, then that's probably a repeat issue that they are dealing with. And then maybe they can do something as formalized as possible from their office to the appropriate departments, to, WSSC, all of these companies, to try to speed things up. But, from a legal standpoint, there's nothing more that we can do, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the concern is, like, we once we try to expedite this permit with these utility companies, then our DPI permit is about to expire. So we are dealing with two different things. So and as much as we're trying to get in full strength, we haven't been lucky yet.
Yeah, you may want to see if there's a way to extend the DPI permit based on what's going on. See if there's a process to do that. As many of you know, I represent the liquor board, and every month we get extension requests for the liquor applications because DPI is backed up. Okay. So this is something that's going on. And so I would think that maybe DPI will be willing to work with us if there's a way for them to extend our permit or to renew the permit, because the utilities are backed up. So that may be something that we can look into.
Yeah. And the fact that they are low staff, and they changing their reps, and so they have to learn about the case and then transfer back. So that's taking time, and it's not helping us. So yeah. I don't know what else. So we don't have a date yet. Mr. Gaston?
Yes, ma'am. If I had hair, I would pull it out. But I don't. Trust me, this has been an arduous process, and I've beaten the bushes. I will say that we have started bi-weekly meetings with Milestone and our architect. That has been recent, and so we've been talking about, what HVAC is going to go here and things of that nature. So I will tell you that the ball has started to move, because, like I said, we do meet with Milestone and the architect on every 2 weeks just to get an update on where we are. So I will reach out per Attorney Deloach. I will reach out to Architect Smith about extending the DPI permit so that we don't run into the same situation we ran into before.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I wanted to just mention that Gaston, you were looking at utilizing the federal program, with the U.S. Department of Labor, to bring in additional administrative support, utilizing senior program.
That is true. I was trying to keep that as a surprise until they were actually hired. So long story short, per the mayor and the rest of some of the other council member, vice mayor is aware of this. There is a senior, and I hate to use that term, but there's a senior program where they will pay to have an individual come into the town and work, not without any budgetary impact on the town. And so we've been scheduled to have somebody come in, and they will, in essence, be an administrative assistant. And so someone, not that they're not there now, but someone will always be at the office answering phone, receiving guests, dealing with mail and things of that nature. And as soon as they have been vetted by our illustrious, magnanimous HR director, we will bring them in, and then they will get started. Additionally, we are also scheduled to have a summer intern from the Prince George's County Summer and Youth Employment Program. It's my understanding that hasn't been confirmed yet, but we are high on the list. So yes, we will have additional staff. And this is in addition to the enforcement person, along with the new public works individual that we need to hire as well. So yes, we are hiring some new individuals. Does anybody else have any questions?
No, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me get the agenda back up. Hold on, please.
FYI, Jason's not on the camera, but I saw that he's running for judge with the Orphans Court.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, so we should congratulate him. There he is. I hope it wasn't a secret, because I just let it out the bag.
No, I was appointed by Governor Hogan to be an Orphans judge. And the election it's an election year, so I have to run for the seat. But yeah, I was appointed by Governor Hogan and sworn in on February the 1st.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So that doesn't impact anything I'm doing with you. I'm still able to practice law. I just can't do certain areas of law anymore.
That's good.
So on March 22nd, make sure you come out so we can celebrate you and the mayor's as well.
I'm not taking the fire away from the mayor. Her birthday is important.
Speaking of council, our next reports are cable, public works, green trees, special events, and the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston. Do you have any on the code enforcement report, Mr. Gaston?
Well, actually, since our code enforcement officer is on the call this evening, I'm going to turn the floor over to her, and so she can provide a report. Miss Aguilar.
Hi, yes. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I can't see the screen. I'm not able to see my report on the screen.
Don't worry, I'm gonna pull it up in 2 seconds. Hold on, please.
Hey, bye-bye. Bye-bye. No, bye-bye. Rebecca, you done? No, not done. Rebecca, you done? You done?
That is her report.
Okay. Are you done? Yes. Excuse my son. The month of January, In total, I had 1 training with Civic Plus. I did no rental inspections for single family homes, but just an FYI, we are going to get started. I decided to go a virtual way with the inspections for rentals, and I'll be getting started sometime this week. Same for the multifamily dwellings. I'm actually going to do in-persons where I'll go in and walk in through the apartments, and I only had 1 of those. Business inspections, I had none for the month of January. Parking tickets at 0. I issued 12 violation notices, and there was 4 building permits, 0 dumpster permits, 0 Pepco light out orders, 1 stop work order, and 5 vehicle warning to tows, and 6 municipal citations, fines issued in the month of January. For utility permits, we have received some that are coming in the future for February to May 7th. We have Volta Avenue, Jackson Avenue, Upshur Street, and it's a system reliability improvements. For the month of February 7th to May 7th, there's also Varnum Street, and that's also a system reliability improvement. For the month of March 1st to June 1st, there's work to be done on the 4400 block of 39th Street, and that's upgrading an existing pole. And for the month of March to June, there's 3709 Webster Street, and that's also upgrading an existing pole with a new pole. And that is it for the month of January.
Any question for our code enforcement, Ms. Aguilar? I guess not. So I will move to the next, which is the council members report. And I think the very first person was Council Member Monroe.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly attended a few things, but let me start with cable first, actually. Matt probably has a better summary of this, but essentially he's looking into replacing our use of live stream that we currently use for our meetings and shifting to YouTube. That would do a few things. One, financially, that saves them $900 a year. This also gets us the closed caption that we've been trying to figure out what's the best approach for accomplishing that. And again, does it as a no fee for that. And then also it's just a little bit easier to store the 13 years, I believe Matt has, worth of videos on some mega terabyte drive that he has, which again, thank you, Matt, for being so careful and saving all that information. And I don't have a timeline on when that would happen or what we need to do to move forward with that, Mayor. I don't know if that needs to be anything official or if that's just a function of, the town administrator and Matt working together to get what we need for infrastructure. So
yeah, no spending, no motion.
Yeah, right. So I think that's more of just a logistics thing that, as Matt put in the chat, he's happy to answer questions offline to any of the council members and the mayor and staff. And he says it could happen for the next meeting if approved. So by the next work session, he could have that in place if we want to move forward with that. So that's it on the sort of cable side. I've also attended a few things, the ARPA American Rescue Plan, National League of Cities webinar. So it's pretty insightful. And also the Anacostia Trails Heritage Area webinar on their expansion of their territory. Doesn't affect us. But basically, they're trying to expand out and cover more of some Maryland territory, which means more areas get protected. It's a short version of it. And then also had the ARPA focus group for families with children last week. I had several people that couldn't attend for various reasons, so I do want to try and do a follow-up on that. So Vice Mayor, I'll catch up with you on that and just making sure it fits within our timeline. But pretty good session overall. And for our, just everyone's just knowledge sake on the Prince George's County Municipal Association, or PGCMA, the Juneteenth bill is moving, seems to be pretty quickly through, and I'm pretty sure to get approved this year, which the official title is basically approving it for legal sake for holidays to be able to be given to employees. So that's the purpose of the state level Juneteenth law, because at the county and municipal levels, yes, we've done things, but the state did not last year pass this, and it just didn't make it through for whatever reason. I think they just ran out of time, to be honest. It was just a lot going on. Still no excuse. This important piece of legislation is going through. So thank you, Councilmember Taylor, for writing the letter of support. Also, because we didn't get a chance to do it at the last meeting, this happened in between, Councilmember Taylor is officially the PGCMA secretary, so a round of applause for her. So Brentwood has had some pretty good representation, so we just got to take over MML next and figure out how we're going to do that. So also of note to Vice Mayor, because this came up, this actually just got introduced a couple of days ago, the ADU Authorization Act has actually been introduced at the state level in the Maryland General Assembly as HB 1259. I don't have much more information on it at the moment because it is so new, but the hearing is on, I believe, March 8th, but don't quote me, I need to double check. So we can again connect if you want to get some more information as I get more for that. But that would be major. Basically, they're looking to require that ADUs be authorized by 2024 is the goal of the piece of legislation. So I don't know much more whether it'd be going through it this year or not, or how that's going to go. But PGCMA, last little bit is they meet this Thursday. Just FYI reminder, folks, PGCMA monthly meeting is this Thursday at 7 p.m. So, and as soon as that link is available, we'll forward it around, or the secretary will. 6:30?
6:30.
Sorry about that. And we'll send that link around to everybody once it's available for the meeting. So, and that's it.
Thank you for that, Councilmember Moreau. I guess the next one in the list is Mr. Gaston.
Oh, it's actually Public Works.
Public Works.
Public Works.
All right. So thank you, guys. The last month has been relatively calm. Of course, we're continuing the food distributions every other Tuesday. Got 2 more of those. We had resumed our Public Works Committee meetings. We had taken off for a month because of the holidays. And we split into 2 sort of subgroups, you could say. Folks who have interest in the new town center, folks who have interest in the current town hall. And I know when we all meet together with Mr. Gaston at the last Tuesday of this month, we'll have some questions regarding those 2 things. We're looking into maybe a brick campaign to raise funds and get the community interested in the work. And then perhaps also looking for public input as to how to refashion town hall to suit everybody's needs. And then lastly, another thing that the Public Works Committee is looking into is incorporating rain gardens. Some of our neighbors have had a lot of success with that. And so we're meeting with some leaders from neighboring municipalities to learn how they integrated rain gardens into their urban planning. I did a lot of training with the National League of Cities, much like Councilmember Monroe. Took a grant writing class, learned about the treasurer's final role, how to compete for transportation dollars, and programs that connect kids with nature. And one thing I realized about the National League of Cities programs is a lot of those programs are good for big cities like Baltimore and DC, but you can always glean something that can be helpful for a small town like ours. Sat in on Senator Augustine's quarterly leaders meeting, sort of D47 meeting. That was about a week ago. That was great. Talked a lot about mental health and the challenges that our residents have with that during the pandemic, as well as leaders of D47. And like the other council members, I had a focus group. My focus group was with seniors. So I met with 7 residents, had over 3 hours worth of conversations, and learned a little bit more from a 65 and older perspective, what their spending priorities are for ARPA. In a nutshell, it's roadways and streetscapes, but it was a good conversation, which can easily inform our spending decisions moving forward. And I think that's it. That's my report.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Councilmember, excuse me, Mayor, if I may.
Yes, please.
Vice Mayor Leggin, I wanted to also touch base the fact that the Public Works Committee may serve in a new role, and Councilmember Monroe is involved in that as well. And so if you don't mind, just a quick.
Yeah, we might have talked about it during the work session, but it's good to bring up again.
Councilmember Monroe, are you there?
I'm here with Cooper, and it's going to be loud, and I apologize.
It's quite all right. I always like to defer to my council members first, but I'll go ahead and jump in. The Public Works Committee may serve as in another role in regards to development of certain projects in and around the arts area, and so it's a requirement of the town from the county that the town council can no longer review certain projects, that it must be a separate entity within the town. These are new projects, so this is a committee that's not going to be quote unquote active until there's a project for them to review. Upon reflection between Councilmember Monroe, Vice Mayor Leggin, we thought that maybe the members of the Public Works Committee could serve in that role. If and when a project does arise, they would be activated, they review the project and move it forward. This is something that needs to be done no later than April 1st. I'm sorry, May 1st. Or is it April 1st? I don't remember. It's one of those. But it has to be done. So I just wanted to throw that out. That's it. I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston. So who will be next? Councilmember Taylor or Councilmember? I don't see the
Green Team with Councilmember Vestry Golf.
Hello, everybody. I don't really have anything new to add since the last meeting.
Councilmember Vestry Golf, if you don't mind, may I?
Go right ahead.
Fantastic. So we are still working on our Arbor Day situation, and we will be reaching out to Councilmember Golf along with the Maryland Urban Forestry situation so that we can get our application solidified and submitted so that we can be renewed for Tree City USA. As you very well know, that we missed a year, but now we needed to, because of COVID. So now we're just trying to get that application submitted as soon as possible. So as soon as that's done, we will hopefully get that designation for Tree City USA. I realize that this is an ongoing process, but it's definitely one that we are proud of and we want to move forward with. So that is the update on Arbor Day. Mayor, the next report would be special events with Councilmember Taylor.
Thank you. Councilmember Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. During the month of January, as Councilmember Monroe said, I was elected as Secretary for PGCMA. So that happened. I also wrote a letter in support of creating a state holiday for Juneteenth. Mr. Gaston assisted me tremendously with that, so thank you for that. I met with the Special Events Committee. We are putting together a sponsorship packet for Brentwood Day, and that will be forthcoming to the council in the very near future. I attended a Zoom which was hosted by Senator Cardin. Worked on our Black History Month program, which, as the mayor stated, will be this Saturday at 1 p.m. on Zoom, and that has been distributed all across our social media. And with the assistance of Mr. Gaston and our Public Works Committee, I was able to help coordinate the removal of some tree limbs after we got that initial bad snowstorm in January. And I believe that is it. The Special Events Committee, we're still looking for volunteers if anyone is interested. We met once this month, but we'll be meeting again on President's Day for a quick afternoon meeting. I'll be sending that information to the mayor as well as the chief, because we have some ideas about the parade and just some other things. And I'll be looping the council in very soon about with some information for some things that we want to do. So that concludes my report, I believe.
Thank you, Councilmember Taylor, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right, so part of my report includes attending with the chief to the Mayor's Worth funeral. We also, with the assistance of the town administrator, we have sent letter of condolences to that was Capitol Heights, one of the
Mayor. We did Kevin Ware Day when he passed away. Flags are at half mast on his behalf. And then the former mayor of Capitol Heights, and last name is Sims. You'll have to help me with his first name. He passed away, and the mayor signed a letter, and it was delivered to Capitol Heights. His funeral, I think, is on the 21st, but don't quote me on that. So the Capitol Heights has been totally taken care of with Mr. Sims. And if anybody else has any questions or comments about the passing of those two individuals, please chime in.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gaston. I also been in contact with Jim Flint. He's been working in the weather station MIA Empower grant. So soon I'm gonna be bringing that letter of that we can approve or support the program. So according to what I was able to talk to Sergeant Flint, is that more money is coming. So they already have a lot of applications in the pipeline, but this year, since the award will be greater, so they're gonna be looking for more families to support through the weatherization program. What else? I did contact some of the possible sponsors for Brentwood Day. So yes, I will bring this to Councilmember Taylor's attention. Talking to residents, reminding and sending and creating a list with Mr. Gaston for our seniors, updating the list pretty much for the seniors. So more seniors have received their COVID test box and the mask. What else we are doing? And also, we need to, I look at the numbers, and we need to publicize or make me, not everybody reads the newsletter, but we need to have some sort of like a sign to let residents know that we still have funding so they can apply for the relief fund. So I don't know, Shelley, I forgot to ask if you have any other applications or you have not received.
I have not received any new applications.
Okay, so advertising will be great, but I don't know how we can do that if people are not reading or not getting the newsletter. So that's what I have so far. So
Mayor, I will say that once we kind of shift gears and roll out this more robust plan, I do think we're going to probably gain a little more traction in terms of people applying and looking for assistance, because we'll be doing more than just the utilities. And so I guess the committee probably needs to come together and meet so that we can start developing that plan.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, and I forgot, we have an update for the Wyndham Road project. I was able to meet with one of our longtime residents that had questions about the project, and we were able, I was actually walking with her down to the alley, just showing her what the project is. And we're going to have the meeting on March 5th with the artists, and we are planning to do it at the site. So it's going to be an open meeting. It's going to be at the Wyndham Road site on March 5th in the morning. I think it's 10 a.m. from 10 to 11. So that's the update that I have. And also the 2022 Mayor's Winter Conference has been moved to March. So I'm going to be, I know, Giselle is working on that registration now because they moved the dates. So I'll be attending that as well. I think it's the 4th and the 5th, I believe. I'm not looking at it right because I have the old one. So that's what I have for now. All right, Mr. Gaston, what's next?
Consent agenda is next. Brentwood Business Relief Restructuring and the Town Hall COVID cleaning twice per month.
Yes, I just need a motion to consent those items. I mean, consent.
I move to accept the items in the consent agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye, so move. Thank you. So we move down to the old business, and we have the approval of accessible parking request as the, well, before any discussion, I would like to have a motion to approve accessible parking request. Anyone? Any questions?
Do we need to put the address in that motion, or is it just approved?
I don't have the address in front of me. I think it was in the chief report. I can pull that up. I know it's 38th Street.
It's 4408 38th Street.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, 4404 38th Street.
So, well, motion to approve the accessible parking for 4404 38th Street.
Thank you. Questions? Comments?
I have both.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not sure if council has had a chance to review the parking area, but I'll share my observations. Firstly, on 38th Street, there's only parking available on one side of that street. Currently on 38th Street, across from that residence, there is one spot already zoned no parking for a fire hydrant. I also noticed upon observing the location that the residence driveway extends past their house into the backyard where there's a garage. And I was going to propose perhaps that Mayor perhaps make an exception to allow the resident to widen their driveway behind their house, as opposed to allowing accessible parking on the street. Because right now, the issue for the residents is that the driveway where they park is narrow. It's really no more narrow than any of our parking, but for someone who needs to open the door all the way, it is narrow because there's a chain link fence on one side and a house on the other. But I think that narrowness, that issue would be resolved if we allowed them to expand their driveway behind their house in such a way that they could sort of center the car and not be hitting it into the chain link fence. My concern is that if we approve this accessible parking, it will set a precedent that will allow, I'm afraid it would set a precedent. And I'm not sure if anybody else has had a chance to review the location, but I'd be curious to hear what they thought.
Mayor, this is Councilman Monroe. I have a similar question. And this is right down the street from me. So that's why I wasn't quite sure when I saw the address, I wasn't quite sure what we were approving. So to his point, Vice Mayor's point, is the question, just make sure I understand, was the request for parking literally in front of the house? Because as he's saying, the street's not set up that way. You literally can't park in front of that property then.
It's across the street. To
So
be
it'll be
able to park across the street. Yes.
So across the street, and then to Vice Mayor's question, then can we widen it versus having them park across the street? Because if it's across the street, then I feel like it still doesn't get them what they want, which is a sort of safe, accessible way to cross the street. So I'm personally fine. Sorry, if we need to solve it right now, I would say sure, give them the space right in front of the house as a maybe temporary measure, as a designated accessible parking space, and then figure out if we could widen the driveway. Because I hadn't thought about that, Vice Mayor, but my only question would be the logistics of it, looking at that little stone wall that they, for example, have on the property. And it's more so just knowing if they can fund it or be able to do it. Those sorts of questions I would still be curious about. But I think the parking space, at least to me, is a now solution until we can figure out solving it long term, like you're suggesting, if that all makes sense.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to temporary accessible parking, we have many around town that has been removed because the resident has moved or no longer drives. So we go back and remove the post and paint back the curb. So in this case, when I look at it, and I have witnessed when they are actually pulling out from their driveway, and they have to be parked on 38th Street, on a street that is like, there's no parking on that side, so traffic is coming. So yes, I agree. Is we're talking about safety of the pedestrian crossing the street, but how safe it is to be parked on the street waiting to have someone in the vehicle. And I agree with Councilmember Monroe, logistics and how much would it cost for the residents to be able to provide more space. And you can see they have a very small vehicle now, but I have witnessed they have a bigger van to fit in that driveway. And the resident has spoke with the person on the blue house that is right on the where he would like to park, and they had no issues with him having that that handicap right there. Yeah.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Monroe.
Oh, I didn't have anything else.
Oh, my question is specifically sort of as it relates to Vice Mayor Leggins' suggestion. And I'm not sure if Ms. Aguilar is still on the call, but she may be able to speak to this. Generally speaking, when someone is installing or altering a driveway, they have to get a county permit to do that. So would widening the driveway behind the house, would that also require county permitting? Or I know in some cases we've allowed people to kind of gravel a driveway if they have like a strip there already to just kind of, you know, so that they're not parking on an unpaved surface. Would that be an option? I just want to make sure that whenever we go to the resident to tell them what they have to do, that we're giving them all the options, because dealing with the permanent office is probably not something that anyone wants to have to do.
To answer your question, Councilmember Taylor, if you are modifying your driveway, you do not need a county permit, but you do need a town permit.
May I, not only that, extending the driveway, it also will be approved in the county if you have enough yard. They want to
Green
make
space,
sure.
yes, you need to have about 40% green space still left.
Yeah.
I think, if I may, my understanding is that, you know, if anyone's going to be expanding the driveway, and I'm only expanding it like, you know, think sort of like an ice cream cone, you know, it gets wide at the end. It would really only be an expansion of maybe 3 or 4 feet for maybe only a distance of 12 feet. It seems like that would just be a matter of Brentwood approving that expansion.
No.
And certainly, I mean, even the expansion, looking at the picture right now, I didn't really think about it, could be in the front as well as behind the house. I think the driveway is very long and it offers a lot of opportunity to expand to allow that vehicle to not be in between the house and the fence.
Councilmember, Mayor, may I chime in real quick?
Yes, Mr. Guest.
The garage that Councilmember Leggett, Vice Mayor Leggett is speaking of is this white building right here. So this driveway goes all the way back to the back of his property, and it ends up with this driveway. The other concern I have is that if you turn over here, this is all red with the fire hydrant. Now, granted, at this juncture, there aren't any cars here, but there are generally a lot of vehicles that are parked along in here. Not to mention, remember, this is at 38th and Volta. So while there are a lot of cars here, this person having a designated spot is going to add to that when he definitely has an option of expanding on his driveway. That's just my take on it. And like I said, it's hard to see it from this perspective because there are no cars here, but there generally are a lot of cars parked along in here. And so for this person to have a designated parking space right here, if you will, then that's going to add to that. It's just my sense of this situation.
Thank you, Mr. Gaston.
And if I may, that was also a concern that I had. I've had senior residents come to me before who have had a driveway, and we've denied them designated parking because they have a driveway. And so 38th does have, it is tight. So I like the idea that Vice Mayor suggested of offering them the option to extend the driveway. And just a side note, I'm sorry, Council Member Vetri had an issue, and so she should be rejoining the meeting in just a moment.
Thank you. Any other comment? Hoping that Councilmember Vetri can provide her comment.
So, and then, which was somebody brought up a good point just now about like, historically, if there's a driveway, we don't typically approve the accessible parking. Is there any incident of us approving an accessible parking to someone that has it sounds like the driveway in the back area is still feasible, to Vice Mayor's point.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Guest.
The gentleman who lives at 39th Place, no, what you're on 39th Street, correct?
Yes.
The person that lives at 39th and Volta, he is in the same situation, but he has a very long driveway and he has been denied his request for handicap parking. Similar situation, not the same, but a similar situation.
And that's
He has been
exactly the
denied.
thing I was speaking about.
Right. He's been denied because of the fact that he has a very long driveway. His 6 cars doesn't necessarily help. However, so those 6 cars take up his driveway and then he needs a spot to park on the street. That's why he wants it. But like I said, he does have a small car dealership. But I digress.
All right. Well, I guess now if no other comments, I don't know if Councilmember Victory is already back in. So if not, we can just call the roll and then vote. Yay or nay. That's simple. Is she back? I just don't want to make a motion and she's not.
I don't.
As of right now, she is not on the call, and I don't see a request for her to be on the call.
She texted me to say that she is trying to get connected again.
Okay. So would you like to call the roll?
All right, Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Councilmember Monroe?
No.
Vice Mayor Luggin?
No.
Mayor Schmini Lopez?
No. So, all right. So we can send to the resident official notification that the mayor and council deny his request.
If I may, Mayor?
Yes.
Councilmember Vetri Goff, does she need to be declared absent or how does that work?
She's trying to connect, so.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, no, I'm not going to declare any. She was in a meeting, so she's trying to reconnect. So.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that her vote is okay. Great.
Thank you. Oh, you said to record her vote. Yes, absent.
That was it. Yes. So town clerk. Yes, town clerk. If you can make sure that Councilmember Goff was absent on the vote.
Yes. Thank you for that. All right. So the next item in the agenda will be.
Excuse me, Mayor, can just point of clarification on that. Can it be absent due to technical difficulties? Something, because she was in the meeting.
Yes, she was in the meeting. So that's why I didn't want to declare that she's absent or anything. It's just that available for that vote.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that, Jason. All right. So moving along, we have the premium pay for essential town staff. And yes, I forgot to mention that on our mayor's report that I have been working with the treasurer and the vice mayor, and with a lot of back and forth, but this is what we have for approval. Looking for approval, I guess a motion.
If I may, Mayor?
Mr. Gaston.
Councilmember Goff has rejoined the meeting.
Do you want me to ask the question so we can record her vote? Yes, please. Okay, the motion was to approve accessible parking for 438th Street. So we already called the roll, but you were in the call. So are you in favor or not on this motion?
Say yes.
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 Thank you. So that the town clerk will record you vote. All right. So,
But it's setting a precedent that any handicapped person in the town can do this. No. Shit.
hello. Councilmember Beatrice? Do you have an extra comment?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. All right. So, the motion was dropped because 4 council members were opposed to the to approve this motion. So, I just want to record you vote. Moving on, the next item is the hazard pay, and I have Shelley, Ms. Dorsey presenting
Okay.
for the council.
Mhm. And Mr. Gaston, do you have the summary? There you go. Okay. So as the mayor mentioned, the mayor, vice mayor, myself, we worked really hard to try to pull this together, and I'm just very grateful for them and their input and all their wonderful feedback. And so this is the plan that we created. In terms of the retro hazard pay, the total that's been earmarked for the police department is the $28,245. Public Works is $19,364.96. Code is $7,531.63. Admin is $17,417.21. And admin other, that's part-time staff, $4,288.56. So total retro pay, recommendation is $76,847.36. Hazard pay projection, and this would run from March through the end of the year. Police Department, $22,000. Public Works, $15,400. Code, $6,600. Admin, $9,900. Admin other is $2,200. So the total projection from March through December is $56,100. And we basically doubled that number to have an allowance in case we have to extend hazard pay beyond December. So the total hazard pay is $189,047.36. And with the taxes or the FICA that needs to be included in this cost, brings the total payout of $203,509.48.
Thank you, Shelley. So
You're
with that,
welcome.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the retro hazard pay and the hazard pay projection.
Do we need to have the amounts in the motion? Jason?
Do you want to do the total amount, or do we have to split it?
I would split it.
Okay.
Shelley,
it's
could you
too
give
much.
me those numbers
much.
again? Okay, so we got 203. Oh, I missed that. Shelley, could you give me that 203,509 was retro, or that's total? That's total.
The 203,509.48 is the total.
So, but the
So the
attorney
total retro pay is $76,847.36.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that will be the motion, the first motion.
Okay, and what's the number for the second motion?
And for the second motion, the total, I can include, I guess, both projection amounts. So that's $112,200.
112,200?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're making one motion with two separate amounts?
Yes, and then can you just, to include taxes, can you add that to each?
Sure can.
Thank you.
I move to approve $76,847 in retroactive hazard pay and projected to be paid out hazard pay in the amount of $112,200 to include taxes.
Or plus taxes, I'm sorry. Plus
Taxes. And this is coming out of the ARPA, federal ARPA funding.
With a total amount of
With a total amount of $203,509.48.
Right. Any questions?
I have no questions. I just want to say thank you guys for your hard work getting this done. I'm sure that it will mean a lot to the staff, and thank you, staff, for your dedication coming in every day in the midst of COVID.
Thank you. All right, so Town Clerk, if there's no other comment, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Betry Goff,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leggett,
Yes.
Mayor Jimena Lopez.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Shelley, for your patience.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so our next item in the agenda will be the request for American Rescue Plan funding. This is brought by Brentwood Volunteer Fire Department at Station 55. They have sent a request. Town Clerk, can you please read out their request?
Yes, one second, let me pull it up. Oh, Mr. Gaston, can you pull it up?
Bear with me.
Number 16. Dear Mayor and Council, the Brentwood Volunteer Fire Department is asking for economic relief under the American Rescue Plan Act to allow us continued operations during this pandemic. We are asking for at least 5% of the funds given to your township to help pay for the new pumper that is being delivered in the next month or so. We have not been able to earn any income since the pandemic with our hall, and our station has been the epicenter of community with COVID SARS, testing 6 days a week in our hall instead. We have lost so much income as a result of this, and the yearly contribution that we asked for is too little to cover the expenses incurred as a nonprofit public safety business in your community. This request allows us to pay off the loan sooner and to purchase new tools to go on the pumper to meet the latest NFPA standards for fire suppression vehicles. And can you please move it up? Vehicles and apparatus. We have already sent the required financial information about the cost of the pumper and the term of 15 years needed to pay the loan off. We will provide pictures of the pumper once we have it lettered and striped per the Prince George's County Fire and EMS general orders and approved by the county fire chief, and we take official delivery of the pumper. This will be our 100th anniversary and this year, and we want to continue to proudly serve the community with safety as a #1 priority for our continued success. Thank you in advance. I believe it's Chief Brodus.
President Brodus.
President Brodus.
Thank you. this is just my suggestion, since we received this on the end of the month. They're asking for 5%. I guess we need to actually discuss, go over numbers, but every year, it's me again. Every year since I remember being the mayor, I've been requesting to the volunteer fire department of Brentwood to give us an audit, to give us how they're spending the funding they receive from the town of Brentwood. And my logic to this is, if we are able to request our own residents when they come here to apply for relief fund, that they need to prove us how they are spending, they need our bills. But for the years, I've been requesting that I need your expenses, you audit or how you are investing our taxpayers' money, and I don't get a response. And I requested over and over. And last year they received $40,000 from the town of Brentwood, but still I have not received any response from them. I hesitate to actually disburse taxpayers' money. And to be honest, I went out and about. I have outreached the county. I'm trying or looking to get in contact with the new fire department chief to give me clarity of how is the volunteer fire department operates, who is supposed to be funding, how is the equipment is being used for the paid firefighters. So, and I was into that, finally was getting that meeting going, but then there was a new chief coming in. So I have to start over and try to arrange that meeting again, and you know that takes time. So again, I'm not concerned about supporting, but when you don't receive any transparency, and I still have questions, and this goes to Jason, that probably might be a closed session, I'm not sure. But when the charter was written, Brentwood Volunteer Department, it was Brentwood. It wasn't Bunker Hill. So how many other municipalities are now supposed to be supporting the Bunker Hill Department? So it's so many questions that we actually need to address. I have to be honest, in the past, I used to see volunteer fire departments going in and out. They were down the street checking, the alarms systems, checking car seats, because I remember having my little ones and I have to go to the fire department so they can check my car seat. I don't see none of that activities. And I completely understand that we are going through pandemic, but this is not new. I've been asking this for the last 6 years and I haven't received any response. And I only receive like, oh, the mayor doesn't like us. That's not it. I need, as a mayor, I need to be able to be transparent and tell my taxpayers, people, this is how we're spending the money. We are being diligently trying to scrutinize every single penny, but we are so easy to give away when we have not received anything in return. The building, we haven't been able to use the building because it's county use. If the county says it's closed, it's closed. If the county says they're gonna use the building, they're gonna use the building. So what power do we have? How can we coordinate? How can we work together to be able to justify 5%? They're asking 5% of their ARPA funding. So, I mean, I don't know. I needed to bring it out, but I also would like to hear from the rest of the council. What do you think? I know many of you are new, so you don't know the history of the volunteer fire department. Some of you might know. So, but I'm not opposed of helping. You know, we always support. But if I'm not getting what I'm being asking over the years, I don't see how I'm going to approve. Or move forward with this. So, but again, it's so many questions. It's charter question, it's county questions, is financial questions. So I have a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet. That's my position. So I'll open the floor.
Mayor, can I just make a comment?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to say that, you know, his request that's coming in is related to ARPA. It's not the 25K that we budgeted. We're still holding that as well. And I certainly understand the mayor's position because this has been an ongoing issue. However, I do think, I don't know that we hold them at a different standard than we do others that may seek our assistance in regards to ARPA. I think we all can attest to the fact that they've been open for the testing. And so I do think there's a financial need there. I don't know if it's $56,000 or 5% of our funding, but I do think there is a need, and it would be good if, you know, if we could do something for them because our residents have benefited from that being a testing site.
I have a question as well, if I may. Two things specifically. The first thing with my question is in regards to what our treasurer, Ms. Dorsey, just said. Would it be? I mean, yes, there's clearly a need for money for them. Like they clearly need the funding. But since a lot of what they've been doing lately has been on behalf of the county, would we be able to petition the county on their behalf for some of this funding? That's the first question. The second question that I have is, if the fire department is audited on a regular basis, which I would assume that they are by someone, could we just look at the books if the concern is where the money is being spent? I mean, is that something that, I mean, if that's a concern that you have, can we just look at the audit to see where the money is being spent? And that would kind of satisfy your concerns in that regard. And actually, I mean, this is something that I would like to possibly maybe address with Chief Brodus, maybe not publicly, as to not publicly call him out or make him feel embarrassed in any way. But I would think that particular concern is something that could be addressed pretty easily.
May I add my 2 cents, 2 or 3 cents? I think I have something prepared to say, and I think it kind of jives with what both Councilmember Taylor and Mayor Rocio are speaking of. When I was taking one of these classes about the Treasury's final rule, they specifically addressed this issue. They specifically addressed giving ARPA money to fire stations that are volunteers. And so I went back to that webinar, and I pulled a quote from the guy who was talking about it. And just to give you an idea, this guy's name is Jeff Wolbert. He's the senior program manager for the state of Maryland. He's part of the Maryland Department of Budget and Management. That's who gave the presentation. He's got 15 years experience. And what he was explaining was that, you know, when you give money to a volunteer fire department, they become a sub-recipient, right? Which means a couple things, but ultimately it means that we, as the ones giving the money, will be responsible for their performance and compliance with federal and state regulations, okay? So ultimately we'll be left holding the ball if anything goes awry. And this is what he said, and he said this based on his 15 years of experience dealing with volunteer fire departments being given grants and loans and things like that. He said, and this is a quote, "Make sure you have a robust plan in place to ensure that you get the information necessary from the fire companies that are not already reporting directly to you. I want to caution you that CFR rules for federal funding still matter. There can be challenges if you," meaning a municipality like Brentwood, "there can be challenges if you don't have an established relationship already or a robust plan in place to follow up with your volunteer fire departments." So what that tells me is, not that the money's off the table, but to Councilmember Taylor's point, if money is in play, the nature of our relationship with the department there needs to be a sea change. And there needs to be, as the gentleman said, a robust plan in place. And I think, we're certainly going to have multiple conversations beyond today, but if that money is to flow to them, they need to meet us halfway, because right now there is not a good relationship. And I think we should take the very strong recommendations of this gentleman to heart when we consider what we do with our money and the fire department. And that's all.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'll chime in as previous term council member. So for context sake, I know I've gone over personally and was shown the books, and I know this has it's definitely been an annual topic. I'm not quite sure how to solve it other than saying the exact same thing I've said before, which is just have Mr. Brodus come present to us. He did that last time. The last time he did it, there was this is all public stuff, so there's a fair bit of back and forth and similar statements about concern, about being transparent. He did come. I believe 2 other mayors did attend that meeting. I have to double check on that one. But Comar Manor, I think North Brentwood attended. So just for context sake, when this whole thing happened last time, Mr. Brodus did come and present whatever information he was asked to present. As far as I'm concerned, personally, I think they have a good relationship with the town in that we can call on them and get whatever we need in the heat of the moment. I strike personally, I that's the bar of we have a good relationship, is that they've done whatever we asked them to do. So I'll leave that at that for me personally. I think from the town perspective, just so it's not a lot of back and forth and we just keep it sort of productive, just write out whatever the email is we want him to come present. And again, for context sake, he provided information on the pumper, the cost of it and everything like that. They did proceed with handling that purchase on their own, which he's alluding to, which is a pumper is over $1 million, just for context sake. And they did what they needed to do to get that new machine. So I would suggest that, again, repeating what I did last time, just keep it simple, ask him to come present. I would stress that I think we should also have the mayors again come, whatever he's asked for those other towns, so that way we can look at it from the big perspective of what's the number you need, how much is each town contributing. I know Mount Rainier is usually not at the table on that, and there's no need to go into the history of it. But I would say whatever towns' names are on the front of that building, we request them to have attend the same meeting that he presents to us on what the volunteer fire department needs. And I'm just going to leave it at a lot of towns are supporting their volunteer fire departments and figuring it out. I suggest we do the same. Obviously, they've been struggling because the only way for it to be affordable for us, again, to just be clear on this, the only way for fire departments to be affordable for citizens is to be volunteer. If it was full-time staffed volunteer fire department, we could not afford it. Like, without a doubt, the county can't afford to do fully county staffed fire departments. So the way all of this is affordable is a combination of them raising funds, taking out credit to purchase things, getting grant funds, or going after county, state, or local funds, and here we're being local. So I think let's just so we can again keep it as a productive conversation. If something's been sent to him and he hasn't been responsive, I'm not aware of that. This is the first time I'm hearing it. I just suggest we all get copied moving forward, and that can keep it, so no one can say someone did or did not do anything. And I'm completely fine with holding people accountable, but I think the fire department has shown up whenever we needed them. That's just my personal passion on the topic. So, but I'm trying to, keep us focused on moving forward. So if they want whatever their request is, let's just have them come present, and this, so that way we're not doing this again, doing the budget discussions here in a few months as well. So.
I agree with Councilmember Monroe, and I actually think it would be a good idea to see if Mount Rainier would be interested in having a seat at the table. They have a new mayor, and so there may be a different position that the council is willing to take. I do think that it would be advantageous, sort of collective bargaining, to have everyone at the table to say, listen, this is what the community needs. How are we all willing to pitch in to make sure that this is what we're getting, and that we do that in a way that is as equitable and transparent as possible.
Yeah, I think to Councilmember Taylor's point, we need to have our own list of things that we need. You know, I'm all for the chief presenting to us about what he needs, but we need to come to consensus about what we need to feel comfortable with this, and really to change the nature of the relationship, you know?
We still need to understand what is the county, like Councilmember Taylor said, what is the county's responsibility? What is that they're providing? Last time I remember President Burrows came and he stated that how the paid firefighters, something happened with the ambulance or something, never was repaired, but nobody wanted to take charge of it and to repair this equipment. So that's why I'm looking to have clarity. What is the responsibility? What is their responsibility? What happened if something gets, if it's funded by the town? So if the paid firefighter damage it, who's responsible for what type of insurance are they talking about? So all those questions needs to come out, and I don't have a response for that. And also when we ask about, they need to provide us with their audit. What is that they're receiving? What is the funding that are they getting? How they're spending this funding? That is something normal. That's something that any financial institution is going to ask. The expenses report, the revenues report. So that's what we need to have. I understand he has come. He has very nice to come and talk to us. This is what I need. But that only satisfies what he needs. Now, what we need in order to keep our records clear. This is we provide this funding. This is what spend it for. This is what they need. So that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking anything that any other institution is asking about when they comes to finance. So, and I guess that's my responsibility to make sure we're getting this reporting out, these audits out. Like every year we get audit. The town gets an audit. So I'm supposed to, they have that as well. So we should have at least a copy because we are providing this funding.
So if I may, to that, I would just like to say, kind of similarly to what Councilmember Monroe was saying, is that what's past is prologue. We can't really reconcile any of that stuff that didn't happen. So moving forward, we need to decide among ourselves, what does the town of Brentwood need in order to feel comfortable giving them money? And also a separate conversation with our surrounding people who also have a responsibility to support the fire department of what are we all bringing to the table and putting into the pot? Mm-hmm. Because I know in the past, some folks in Brentwood have felt like we've been kind of asked to cover the lion's share of the financial support of the fire department. That may very well be true, but I think that we're in a place where we can be transparent about what we expect and then require them to be accountable. But in order to do that, we also have to understand that we got to kind of let go of some of the upset from the past times. Because if we didn't really require them to report in the way that we felt they should, there's nothing we can do about that now, other than set something in place and then actually be dedicated to that moving forward. So they're regularly audited. I see nothing wrong with saying, hey, you're asking us for $50-something thousand as a part of our ARPA relief, and then you're also most likely going to need some other money once the new fiscal year comes into play. As a requirement of getting that money, we need to see the ways in which you've managed your funding previously. And then going forward, these are the programs that we would like to see put in place. And also, how can we make sure that the county, who is getting the most bang for our buck, is putting something into the pot as well? So it may actually be advantageous if we have a conversation with other local folks to like have Denny Tavares there and have our at-large Prince George's, have Calvin Hawkins there, because there has to be something that the county is contributing to this as well, since they are the ones who are primarily getting used out of the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
But as an outsider, as someone who kind of has been at the meetings as a staff member, the relationship is very contentious. And we got to be willing to let some of that old stuff go and smooth it over to have a better relationship working forward. And that's going to be something both sides have to do. Not just us, but they're going to be willing to make some concessions and let go of some stuff as well.
And just to clarify something I said earlier too, when the previous mayors came, because I don't want someone watching this and feeling slighted, those previous towns that came to that meeting did contribute, just to clarify. So Colmar Manor, Cottage City, and North Brentwood did contribute amount. I have to go back to the meeting to know what they contributed. And question mark on Mount Rainier, they weren't there, so I'm not sure what they did or did not contribute, but I know historically they have not. My only question is to make sure, and maybe this is off separate topic, but are we not giving them the current $25,000 that was budgeted, to make sure I understood that, because we're adding an audit request on top of that? I just want to understand that piece of this discussion, and I don't want to get lost.
The previous fiscal year has not been, that's the only thing I will be requesting at this point. Because like Councilmember Taylor said, all the years to reconcile all that, it's not. But at least the last year budget that we gave $40,000 out to be able to give us at least the past year audit.
And I'm just trying to be clear that we asked, and my memory is not great, that I'm a computer, but did we say that was a condition on top of that?
Yes, and he said,
I feel like we're just starting something
his
new.
response was that he didn't have the funding to get an audit. If you recall that was the response he got when I asked for the audit. He said that he didn't have the funds to pay out for an audit.
And so we're using the term audit here. So I want to be clear. Are we requesting a third-party audit from an improved accounting firm? I just did not realize that I agreed to do that. I just don't ever remember saying that the town was going to request, and I don't know the proper terms, and the treasurer will have to help me out on this, but that sounds like something different than, and maybe let's separate the word audit, but are we just asking for just their financials and basic summary of their programs? That's different than saying someone has to go out and pay a third party to do an audit. So I'm just going to stop there and just make sure I understand what's been told to them.
Well, let me just say this. I don't know what their annual budget is, but I believe the threshold is $250,000. So if their budget is below that threshold, they actually aren't required to do a full-blown audit. They only have to go through an audit review, which is a lot cheaper. However, sometimes because of your funding sources, it dictates you having to get a full-blown audit. For instance, certain grants, if they receive grants, then they may be required to do a full-blown audit. So my suggestion is we definitely need the financials. If they have a review, then we can get a copy of that, and just ask them, if they go through an audit. If they go through a full-blown audit, then they can provide a copy of that. But definitely the financials at the very least, and if need be, when he comes and he asks, for funding to purchase specific equipment or what have you, and we support those efforts, we can always, as part of the agreement, ask that, he shows us receipts of the purchase, especially with the ARPA money.
And so I appreciate that. And maybe I still feel like I'm confused on how they can get the current money that's been budgeted to them by the previous council. Because I feel like that still to me is unclear why we can't release that money and what requirements they need to accomplish in order to get it.
I think the mayor's asking for you're asking for the financials, and if they have an audit, then we'd like a copy of it. But at the very least, we'd want to see the financials. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes.
I think that might be a more effective request if we tie it to the ARPA funding request and allow for the budgeted amount to just move forward. It feels, and granted, I wasn't part of the last council, but it feels a little bit like we're changing the rules midstream as far as the budgeted money. But we can certainly leverage the ARPA money to create this change that we're all looking for.
I like that idea.
I mean, I'm gonna agree, but I have to say that for the record that I have requested this every year. So I don't know if it has to be in writing. I can find emails of the requests that we have sent or the meetings when this has been requested to be brought to us.
I just think that if we didn't specifically say, if you don't provide this, we won't provide this, to now threaten to withhold it feels like moving the goalposts a little bit. And it also doesn't really help to improve the relationship that we have. It's only going to cause bitterness and more upset that, to be quite honest, in a community as small as ours, we can't afford to have. So I'm in favor of if we've budgeted a specific amount, then we should release that. We can, as Vice Mayor said, use this as leverage to release ARPA funding. And then anybody who knows me knows I love a good SOP. I love a standard procedure. So going forward, yearly, this is what we expect to get from you prior to releasing any fund. And we get to dictate what that is. And then we hold firm and we expect it and we hold them accountable for it. But if we've already pledged to give them some money, I just think it would be kind of crappy to not give it to them. The ARPA funding is something we have some wiggle room with.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Jason.
Do we request any, how do you establish your budget for them every year? Mm-hmm. Is it just something that's snatched out of the air, or do they have to provide documentation to substantiate the budgeted amount?
No, the budget amount is an amount set by the mayor and council. How
do we come to that number?
I think it's just what we can absorb, what we can afford. And the number has grown. I mean, it used to be 5,000 in the last few years. I mean, it's grown tremendously because it's up to 25,000. But it's a number set by them. Now, I will say that our charter does speak to support that we provide to the fire department, and we don't pay anything close to what we could pay, and we can't afford to. I think with our current budget levels, the charter would, allow us to pay them, I think, up to maybe $400,000. But we realistically, can't pay that with all of the other services and things that we have.
Can you request, as you're establishing your budget at that time, request, financials from them, so you're making some sort of informed decision on the budgeted amount? That may be the time to do that. If you want to see the financials, is to do it during the budgeting process. I just will say, I do agree. Now, you don't have to give, just because you budget an amount, you don't have to give all of the budgeted amount. Okay, so that's one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands. The second thing is I do agree to some, if we've been giving these budgeted amounts over the years without any sort of supporting documentation, it does seem to be changing the rules and a pattern and practice of what you've done in the past. So that may be problematic. But going forward, in order to support the budget, I think that may be the time that you get the supporting documentation that at least the mayor is looking for. And as far as the ARPA funds, I agree with, I think it was Councilmember Monroe or Councilmember Taylor that said that we do have wiggle room there to ask for certain things in support of that. But that just may be something you want to think about going forward as far as during the budget time.
Okay. Now, I will also say too, another reason that we haven't had this conversation previously is generally, we budget a certain amount, or we have an allowance for the fire department, and he usually sends a request. And when we receive the request, that prompts us to, pay him a portion or pay out whatever's in the budget. And so, to my knowledge, we have not received that. We never received that request. We usually don't just pay it without having something. But I'm not opposed to doing it. I mean, we can, I can generate a request internally to pay out what's in the budget.
Yeah, and I think the SOP idea, and it's not that I'm against requiring anything from them. It was just that it felt like both parties weren't exactly clear on what was being requested in this moment of this discussion. So I think moving forward, as much as we can just write it down and put it in a document that just lives on from each council, I think that'll go a long way to help remove any confusion moving forward from whoever the chief of the fire department is in the next 10 years or 20, or whoever the council members are and the mayor is. I think just keep it simple, write it down. But I do think for me, it felt like the budgeted amount did not have any pre-existing conditions on top of it. But, I understand the mayor's position, but so I just want to be clear that I'm supportive of a documentation being provided. It's just, let's do that with ARPA, and that way we can all sort out what exactly it is we need. And then definitely bring in other towns, because if they're planning on, I know they wouldn't do this, but they're planning on giving $1 million, that completely changes how much I think the town would need to give, because I can say we can throttle down a little bit, but until we know all the pieces of the puzzle, it makes it a little harder to make decisions.
Okay. Well, I will, because we're getting ready to enter our new budget season. So I will draft a letter, Mayor, that we will send to him in advance, just to give him a heads up that this is what's going to be, this is what's needed or necessary moving forward.
And again, I'm not here to argue, just here like, yes, we need to fostering a relationship, but also we need to respond to our taxpayers. So how we are spending the money. And I just looking at the last year emails, actually January 2020, I was looking at it and it is included in those emails when we talked about the audit and the request. So it was being talked. Even there's comments like, oh, every year we come back but we're not getting anything. So I mean, I have to bring it back. I have to bring it over because it's not. But if we are starting today and we say this is how we're gonna do the process of disbursing this funding, that we have something to back us up in the future. Because it was nothing, it's like, okay, you're just giving, like the attorney said, if we put $25,000 in the budget, that doesn't mean that's how much you're going to get. It's just putting numbers there. But I guess people are under the impression that just because it's in the budget, they are entitled to get it. And I guess that's not how it works. Because let's say we can put a wish list in there, but we don't receive those funding. So how are we going to disperse what we don't have? So, but processes are important. So yes, I will work with Shelley to make sure we have something in writing, and I'm still gonna be looking forward to get that meeting. Again, it's just to get clarity, and if we can get other leaders to come and just sit down and see if this is how we're going to all contribute, it will be easy for all of us and working and providing support for the different organizations. So I guess this item will be back in the at the table when it comes to ARPA, but if you want to make a motion to disburse certain amount to the volunteer fire department, we can do that motion now because it's in the budget.
Well, based on what the treasurer said, it sounds like they've always just sent the request. Is that what you were saying? And then we haven't received it yet. So just tell them to send the request.
Yes, to my knowledge, I haven't received it. I believe it usually goes to the town manager, and I'm sure if Gaston is pretty good about forwarding things to me. And so I would imagine he has not received it.
So I would like to table this item for the next meeting. So maybe we get something in the meantime.
Yeah, we can reach out to him.
Okay. All right, there's no other comment or question in regards to this item. I would like to move to the next. Okay, so where are we? ARPA survey final tally report, and that's between Vice Mayor and Town Administrator. I know they've been working on that.
Yeah, well, thank you to Mr. Gaston for compiling all the ARPA surveys. We got a total of 77 surveys. If you recall, we asked folks to make several choices. So even though we had 77 surveys, we got more responses, if that makes more sense, more answers, because some surveys might have 2 or 3 answers on them. There she is. So the nice thing about the way Mr. Gaston broke it down is that you see each category that the resident chose, and then you see any additional comments they might make to clarify their choices, which is very helpful because that sort of drills down as to sort of how the bigger ideas can be implemented. If you were to compile these 77 surveys together, the number one choice with 40 votes, if you will, is affordable housing. Childcare came in second, followed by public health, roadways and streetscapes, stormwater and sewer infrastructure, and then just general infrastructure. Those are the top 6. And then support drops precipitously after that for categories including small businesses, community recreation, park maintenance, and broadband infrastructure. I think one of the nice things about this survey is that in some ways it does give us our marching orders. And it certainly, if nothing else, informs our decisions moving forward about where we're going to place the ARPA money. And of course, this week, I'll be meeting with each of the council members who had their focus groups to get their feedbacks as well. And we'll include those in the final tally. In fact, maybe these grand totals that I spoke of, ranking them 1 through 10, maybe we can put that on the website for the residents to read. But yeah, I was happy with what we got. I mean, 77 surveys isn't a lot, but you know how it is. It's hard to get 77 people to do much of anything. So we were happy to get that sort of turnout and sort of broad representation. Do you guys have any questions or anything that you'd like to add?
Councilmember, if I may, I'd like to make a comment. So what was happening is you think it's 77 surveys, but actually it's 77 households. Mm-hmm. We had situations where 4 people sent in a survey, but they were all coming from 3808 37th Street. So that's how the numbers fluctuate. One person would submit once, but then somebody else would have 4 people. And so that's why I did it. So it was per household. Versus, and then even, we even had apartments as well represented. So everybody was represented But like I said, it was 77 households as opposed to 77 surveys. So I just want to make that clear, because one household, one person could be interested in something else, and it just varied. And so that's why the numbers are the way they are.
Oh,
I hope that clears that up.
We may have had more surveys.
Correct.
Some of them got grouped together as a household.
Most definitely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wanted to make that we're clear about that. Several of these homes have 4 or 5 adults in them, and they submitted surveys. Each person did a survey, but keep in mind each person's vote, regardless of which category it in, was tallied.
And that's an important distinction. Thank you.
My pleasure. Additionally, the comments were quite interesting. I think that you should highlight some of these comments, the ones that are really, because a lot of people had some really interesting comments, just FYI.
So, Mr. Gaston, how many total surveys did you get?
I had it on mute. I apologize. I never actually counted those up because I was counting per household. I can have that by the next meeting. Okay. But like I said, because to me it was per household as opposed to, and even if you voted on a certain issue, all the issues were calculated.
But how did
I just asked because you can, I'm sorry.
How
you
would
could
you
compare that to the population.
No, but how would you be determining which one, which information getting from where? So if you have like 4 different surveys from the same address.
Because believe it or not, while the surveys, and I know this is a stretch, but each survey, the people pick different things. I know that sounds strange, but so if you had 2 surveys from 3807 Rhode Island Avenue, they'd have childcare, affordable housing, and then they had park maintenance. Then the other person would have sewer, storm management, roadway, and small business, and it just varied. Then the other issue is that some people, a survey would have one thing on it. I want stormwater, and that would be the only thing they would put. So it just varied. I'm trying to look for one that would have that. Most at least had 3, but for the most part, people ranked them, all of them, and then sometimes they only put like 1, 2, or 3, 4. So it just kind of went from, it just depends. It was a hodgepodge of a whole lot of what's going on. So 3502 Varnum Street, as you see, they had a category. They checked off each category, and then they also threw in tree trimming. So, but as far as a final tally of the surveys, I'd be more than happy to count those up real quick. It's not like it's gonna take, I just don't have them with me right now, but I can definitely have them by tomorrow. But like I said, it was each household that submitted a survey. And I counted each vote in the survey.
Okay. All right. Any other question?
So, Mayor, I have a question, Councilmember Monroe. So I guess after seeing all that, Mr. Gaston, did anything jump out to you that was new information, or did it feel like these are things that we had already discussed? Or what's your general take on it so far?
My apologies. My general take is that people are very concerned about stormwater management, capital improvement projects, long story short. Ways to improve the town. How can we improve the town? Daycare, what I thought was childcare, was interesting. So the town treasurer and I have reached out to the local daycare that's in Brentwood to see how we can help them. So certain things did jump out at me, but a lot of it was capital improvement projects and stormwater management. The childcare thing was really interesting. I didn't really think that would have been an issue, but definitely an issue. But nothing else. Right. Small business wasn't Brentwood, as great as it is, the number of small businesses just isn't a lot, if you will. So that wasn't a big deal to our residents because a lot of the small businesses that are in the town of Brentwood, the people who submitted surveys don't live in Brentwood. So, but that was about it. But I will count the total number of surveys tomorrow, and I will let everybody know what that number is.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Council Member Monroe?
That did. Thank you. And I'm glad. It's good to hear that you reached out to the local daycare. I'm curious to see what they're experiencing right now and how we can help. I know I've seen some towns be creative.
I'm going to let the town treasurer take care of that because they gave us a laundry list of items that we can pick from. Laundry list. And you do have that email, right? Town treasurer. Yes.
I don't recall seeing the email, but I know you and I had a discussion.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, they actually submitted a list, and what I can do is pull it up when we get to that, and I can show you what they're interested in. That's on our.
Okay, you forward it to me. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say because affordable housing looks like it got the most hits, and generally the affordable housing programs have to do with new development. And I don't know that, because we just had the 2 new apartment complexes that went up. So I don't know that we necessarily have new development coming in our area. However, we can still establish an affordable housing plan. And I do have some ideas on some other things that we can probably do. And I'll be meeting with the mayor and vice mayor tomorrow so we can discuss that.
I mean, honestly, our resident relief fund checks the box of affordable housing, not long-term, but short-term affordable housing. So.
This is Agape. This is Agape. This is the actual letter. The retaining wall on Volta, they need new playground equipment, the fencing, install a shed, and a new roof for the building. Those were the 5 items that were capital improvement projects that they need yesterday, as an FYI.
I'm gonna sound like the bad guy asking all the questions, but one of the things that we have to think is how many of the children that they serve are actually Brentwood residents. That's because I'm thinking they coming all over the place. When it comes to daycare, for me, it will be more like we providing vouchers to the parents that are in need versus like you providing this to a center that is not serving all my community children. Again, it's me looking after money and making sure our families get the money. That's because I mean, you see how money goes, like everybody wants a piece of it. So, but if at the end of the day, we're not able to serve our own families, so what we have done? The repair of the wall, that's something that, is structural that they will have to consider in their own. But again, my concern would be like, yes, I'm gonna provide you this money, but how much of that funding is gonna be helping Brentwood children? So,
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm more than willing to ask what is their ratio of Brentwood residents that are actually being taken care of at the daycare center. I will say that if these items might have been improved, it might be a possibility that some residents would be interested in putting their children in daycare at this particular daycare center, considering. Just a thought.
Yeah, so I mean, some parents, I will speak on my experience, I will find a daycare not close to my house, but close to my job that I can just run. So that's why the voucher will be making more sense for me than actually, selecting a daycare for someone that might not be able to afford that price. Remember, vouchers are not paying the whole sum amount. It's just helping somehow. So it's just something to think about. Again, we need to start putting all these requests together and actually start having a work session. How are we going to split this funding for the next 4 years?
So. Right. Well, that's part of our meeting for tomorrow. and childcare is on there. So
Yep.
there's some suggestions in terms of assistance that we could provide.
Yeah. All right, next one. Next item. ARPA consulting firm.
Yes. So I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Dorsey. There are actually two options that she and I have discussed, and I'm going to let her lead on that.
So I drafted an ad that we could place to hire an ARPA fund manager, administrator. And I believe Mr. Gaston drafted something in the event that we decided to seek a consultant. And we'd have to go through the RFP process. You know, the RFP process, it's a pretty lengthy process. I think, you know, if we could just do a direct hire of a temporary person under contract or what have you, or temporary employee, we could probably move this process along faster. And I'll be honest with you, and I spoken with Vice Mayor about this briefly. I'm still not 100% certain of how great the need is for this person because we haven't established the spending plan, which we're currently working on and we're going to meet tomorrow. You know, I do think that if we develop, you know, various programs or what have you, then definitely that person is going to be needed because, you know, for me, a lot of my attentions are going to be elsewhere in terms of trying to develop these programs. And someone needs to focus on the compliance and making sure we're meeting our deadlines. And so basically, you know, they would be able to assist just to make sure that we can just get everything done efficiently and effective and be, you know, effectively and be in compliance. So I'm still not in a position to say yay or nay in terms of should it be a consultant or should we hire somebody. If I had to make a decision tonight, I would say let's move forward with seeing if we can just place an ad and bring someone in to provide us that additional support as opposed to going through the RFP process. And it's also my hope, I wasn't going to disclose it, but I'll disclose it, that maybe we bring this person in and if it works out well and they do well with this, you know, potentially maybe even be able to to keep them to help with the administration of grants, especially with the police department. I know they could definitely use some help with administering grants there. And so this is pretty basic. I can read through it. It's American Rescue Plan, ARPA Fund Manager. They will oversee approved spending plan, ensure compliance with state and federal regulations. I'm not sure why when you pull up stuff, Gaston, all these funky characters show up.
I was about to say, I'm so bothered by those dots all over. And I'm like,
I don't know why those characters show up. There we go. They will be responsible for tracking all the expenditures and for all reporting related to ARPA. Obviously, you know, I'm still doing the accounting and I'll be still tracking everything through the GL, but this would be the tracking outside of that. Basically what you see me reporting to you, you know, that would transfer to them. And of course, they will be required to attend necessary meetings to stay up to date with the current and new rulings. If you can you scan out a little bit, please? scope of work and duties, completes all required reports and documentation in compliance with ARPA reporting by required deadlines, ensure all spending is in accordance with the guidelines outlined in the final ruling, maintain accurate records of all expenditures and filings, and work with the treasurer on all financial matters, submit monthly progress reports to treasurer with an account of all ARPA activity and remaining balances in the ARPA fund and related programs, if that piece was to go over to them. And you obviously, you're the mayor and council, and you could elect to have them report directly to you. But I didn't know if they would be attending our meetings. And so if not, then I didn't have an issue with reporting out on it. So minimum qualifications, knowledge of or ability to comprehend and apply ARPA-related rulings. I kind of left it simple because I didn't know that we needed someone with all these credentials or letters behind their name to manage this. Excellent organization and records management skills, the ability to work with others and ensure compliance. Some travel may be required to attend meetings and or discuss matters with partners if we were to partner with anyone. You scan down. Can you make your screen bigger? So, and then 3 or more years of grant management experience is a plus. And that's it.
Would this be a full-time position or part-time?
I think it's a part-time, it would be part-time position. I don't see us not just for administering the ARPA funds.
Sure.
That's not a full-time job, just part-time. And so again, it would be up to you, mayor and council, if you guys if you want to pull the trigger on this, or if you just want to hold off until we can get through our spending plan. Because I think initially we thought we may have needed someone to help us with developing the spending plan. Vice Mayor, you'd probably be able to tell me if you feel like we still need that person, or you think we're on the right track with what I've already presented.
I think we're on the right track. Yeah, I think the position as it's written is perfect for what our needs are. Okay. I might sit on it for a week or two, but before posting the ad. But if council thinks otherwise.
Okay. And so I don't know if you if you wanted to see the RFP. Do you want to see that? If not, I just won't even waste our time.
For me, Councilman Monroe, I'm fine with just what you showed. Just the RFP process is just going to take so long. I just prefer this approach personally.
Okay.
So what is are we going to have a motion to move forward with this? And if so, what will be the amount? I didn't see that part. That we're gonna be off.
So I don't know. My suggestion would be, we're gonna meet tomorrow to go over the spending plan, and then we're gonna present that, correct? And so I think that will be the time to do it, because we can go through the spending plan and we can identify, what it is we want to do. And so we'll have an idea in terms of the manpower that's going to have to go into, creating all of this. And so maybe at the next meeting, we could come up with the salary and all the specifics, if that's okay.
Yeah, fine.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question, and it's sort of, I don't know, maybe kind of rolls into this. A while back, we had discussed hiring a quality control person for the new building. And now that the federal government has kind of relaxed their rules in regards to how we can spend this money, is that something that you all would maybe consider when you're working out the spending plan?
Absolutely. We haven't included it, but we can include it. I know initially when we spoke of it, I knew the money was in the budget because I was going to be able to shift some of our salary dollars over to ARPA. But now we don't actually have to kind of go through all that. We can add it to the budget. I guess my question would be, and I do believe someone had a salary that they had proposed. My question would be, is that going to does that need to happen this year or does that need to happen next year? And the reason I ask is because the next meeting, well, the next is a session, but I would still present a draft budget amendment so that we can get these ARPA funds actually in our budget for FY22. And so if we have big costs, such as the project manager or things like that, that we need to include, I'd like to be able to maybe capture those things because that's a new line item.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shelley. I don't have any other question. Anyone else before I move to the next item in the agenda? Okay, new business. We have the MML Summer Conference, and I'm looking to get a motion to approve the hotel reservations because the timing. And with that, we need to know who will be attending. Town clerk?
As far as who's attending, I believe it was 7 attendees at the time. So based on that, the estimate for the hotel would be like around $6,000, $6,050. But attending would be the mayor, vice mayor, Councilmember Monroe, Councilmember Taylor, town administrator, treasurer, and I believe code enforcement if you decide to do the table at the what is it called? Not smart cities. I'm sorry. The hall.
Something I have not discussed, but I guess I'm going to bring that extra person. We should at least, these years are 100 years, so I was thinking that would be a great idea to have a booth at MML. So we need to staff the booth. And I don't know, maybe an extra person can come with us to help us. So,
Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Gaston.
Yes, it was my hope that the lead code enforcement officer would be able to staff the table during those sessions. And then in addition to any code related workshops, she would also attend. And the booth would be manned by someone else on the staff, including myself, for those sessions. There are generally not a lot of them, but there's always an opportunity for our code enforcement to grow. So that would be my hope and prayer.
I would be willing to man the booth as well. So you can throw my name in the hat.
Good. That way, I mean, it's another hotel reservation. That's what we are now. But I just want to make sure that we count everybody for the regular fee, and we don't have to pay that extra later on. So in total, how many you have, Giselle, and how much money we're going to need?
I may possibly have one more, I believe, I'm not sure, by Councilmember Vetri-Gall was interested. I don't remember her response.
Councilmember?
Yes, I'm interested.
she said she's interested and she's going to attend?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And just for the record, the dates are June 12th through the 15th.
Amount to be approved to include in the motion, and who would like to make the motion?
I had one quick question. I know last year we had a little bit of confusion just because it was unclear how the classes were laid out. So we ended up having to do an extra day. So do we want to just tack on an extra day now?
No, I verified.
There if we need it.
I verified the time. Last year they did not have the program in order. And so when they gave us the dates that they gave us were 1 day short. But I did verify, and you will not need the room for an additional night.
Okay. Do you have that amount? I'm more than happy to make the motion.
Yeah, estimated amount, that is, of course, if I can get the hotel that I need, the extra room is estimated right now $6,658.59. But that's, of course, if the rooms are still available because they have been selling out a lot.
So I guess, council, do we want to do a not to exceed and put a little bit of extra in here? Just in case the rates have changed.
It's fine with me.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe not to exceed 7,000. Yeah. Okay. I approve funding for MML lodging not to exceed $7,000 for the summer conference.
Any questions, suggestions before we call the roll? Guess not. Can you please call the roll, Giselle?
Councilmember Monroe?
Yes.
Councilmember Venture-Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leggett?
Yes.
Mayor Shmini Lopez?
Yes. All right, so that's it. And I think in the next session, I will bring the amount and all the details that Mr. Gasto is gathering together for the to be participating with our booth at the summer conference. And for those that are asking, what is that beep? Is my alarm that needs a new battery. So sorry, it's been kind of like disturbing, but I don't know how to get up there. So with this, I would like to adjourn this meeting to go into closed session to discuss accessory dwelling units.
Mayor, before you adjourn to go into the other meeting, I just want to just let you all know that I'm actually enrolled in it's a 2-year revenue development and management program. And so the week of March 14th, I'll be gone that week because I have to be at Ogle Bay. And then it'll be another week next year. But I just want you to know that week, I'll have my laptop with me, but I just want you to know I will, because I think we may have a meeting that week. Just wanted to let you know that I will not be here. I'll be in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Make sure you come back, okay?
I'll be running back.
Right.
But I'm excited about what I'll learn in this program. It's strategic development, marketing, fundraising, grants. It's a lot.
Thank you, Shelley, for that. All
Yes,
right.
you're
So
welcome.
any motion to adjourn to go into closed session?
Mayor, if I may, did we want to do public comment if we have any before we go into, because it's already almost 10 o'clock, so people may not want to hang around.
Yeah, if there's any comments or you have received any extra comments yourself?
I have not received any public comments.
Okay. I move to close this session, to recess, call a recess to go into closed session to discuss accessory dwelling units.
For the purpose of receiving legal advice?
For the purpose of receiving legal advice, and that's why we need you here. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Mayor and council will be attending. Court enforcement will be in attendance with the town administrator.
And the town attorney.
And the town attorney.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you all.
I'll be sending the link shortly.